Okay, people, we are back. We are canning salsa today. And I've already did one deal. I just did tomatoes. This is a Ninja, but any food processor. Or you can just chop them up yourself. But just regular tomatoes. There's a smaller kind, and you just put them in there. Just dump them all in. Make sure you got the stems cut off. And they're small ones, so I don't even cut the little nib off. It's just too small to worry about. Where is that one? There's that one. It's just too small to worry about. And we'll just zap that. You can make it as chunky as you want or not. And there's that. Pour it in my pan. I'll show you that one in a minute. Just a big stock pot. Got an onion here cleaned. I'm going to put it in with it. You can even do this and just eat it straight out. You don't even have to can it. But I always can it because I put it in my chilies, my spaghettis, or whatever. And I got a garlic cleaned. I'm putting it in there. I got some peppers here. They're sweet peppers. They're sweet jalapenos. And I just cut the end off and cut them in half and throw them in. Seeds and all. You can de-seed them if you want. I don't take the time to do it. So. Ooh, that onion's strong. And this is going to be for like spaghetti or something because it's got garlic in it. It's got the sweet peppers instead of hot. You can put hot or sweet. There you have that. I'm going to dump that in the pot. Then, let me pause you a minute. Okay. So, we're going to grind up some more peppers because I want more peppers in it. You can put as many as you want. The reason I cut these in half like that is because if you just have them whole in there, sometimes the blades can't catch because it's so slick. You just want to, that way it catches it good and grinds it good. So, ooh, that one's full of seeds. We'll take those seeds out. Usually they ain't got that many. Those big ones though sometimes are full of seeds. So we'll do this. And then we're shelling peas and we'll look at that later. All this stuff is homegrown. Right out of the garden. Our garden was not as successful as we would have liked this year. And we get from people we know and stuff that raises gardens and stuff, we get stuff from them that we don't have to make our salsa. We do this every year so that we can have chili, spaghetti, sauces already made. I never buy sauce for such like that when we don't have white spaghetti. If we have red spaghetti, this would be it. And it does make a mess, so get ready for that. There's that. I think that's all. Let's look and see. I'll dump it in my pot. Yeah, that's probably good enough. I'll show y'all what that looks like. Dumped it right on top of the tomatoes. See, there's the tomatoes right on top. And you just stir it up. Got my towel out for my canning. Turn that on. Turn it on medium high. Then when it starts cooking, you will turn it down. I've got my water pan back there. That's what to put my lids in, to boil my lids. I'll turn that on. Just a little bit of water in it. Got my jars ready. Everything. And I will pop these lids out. See? And you put them in the boiling water for a few minutes, about a minute. And then you, depending on how hot the water is, then you, I'll show you all how to jar them in a minute, as soon as this gets good and hot and boiling. This has got to be boiling, and you got to have that boiling, so, because this has to, it'll cool, as it cools, it'll seal the jars, so. And I just got 2 quarts and 3 pint jars out. I figure it ain't gonna make a whole lot, it's just one pot. Last time when I tried to record this, I thought I was recording it and I lost all my footage. I canned 21 quarts and 6 pints. So right now we're just going to do a small 1-pan thing. And I'm going to clean my mess and put y'all on pause while I clean my mess and get ready to jar them, and I'll show y'all how to jar them. So, put you down there. Okay, I got everything set up here, hopefully. The water's boiling here. This is starting to boil. That's there. Let me make sure I can see everywhere. Yeah. Okay. I got my jars sitting over here, so you can't really see them, but you can see this jar. You always want a wet rag, because you always use a wet rag, wringed out good, and a dry one. I always put the wet rag down like that, and then put the jar on top of it. I use a wooden spoon for this because it's tomatoes. It can have an adverse reaction to metal when it is cooked. If the recipe does not call for a metal spoon or what, then use a wooden or plastic spoon. And I use wooden because I can leave it in my pot when it's hot. Okay, we are going to put, this is canning salt. And we are going to put a 1/4 cup of salt in it. That's all I put in mine, is a 1/4 cup. If you like it super salty, then you can do it super salty. But I could put a 1/4 cup. That's just under my, these bags are hard to get. And you stir it in good. You stir it in good, get that good and hot. That is still getting hot, so anyway, family's here, so don't mind them. I always use a cup similar to this. It's got a small handle. It sits up easy. It's not the big handle, and you won't burn yourself as easy when you're scooping up like that. I got tongs to get my lids out. You'll see why in just a minute, because that water is super boiling hot, and you don't want to be touching it. You don't want to touch them lids either, because it is super hot. This is still getting a little, needs a little bit, and you can always taste this if you're cooking with hot peppers. You want to taste it to see how hot it is. That way you can write on the lid, hey, super hot, not hot, mild, whatever. I always put sweet on these because they're sweet peppers. That's what I used, and this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see or not. One of these days I will get a better camera, so, you know. But this is what we're using today. Taste the juice. Salty enough for me. But you want your towels. I put towels over here under the uncanned jars too. You don't have to. But I always put towels over here. You always put a cloth on under your jars. Either you put them on the cabinet, in the floor, wherever. Always have a cloth on them. Never let a fan blow on them because it will bust the jars. And I always let them cool for 24 hours and just sit there. I don't touch them for 24 hours. So like when I get done and they're cooled after my 24 hours, I'll write on the top, sweet with garlic. Because sometimes I put oregano in it. Sometimes, you know, just whatever I want to put in it. That's what I put in it. And I just kind of write it on the top so I know when I go to get that can, jar. You know, we always do this every summer so that we can have plenty of food through the winter. And if we don't grow it enough, we find fresh from neighbors or local farmers or whatever that does have it, so that we can just live straight off the ground, off the land. We don't want to go to the grocery store and buy it. So, hi Charlie, there's the dog. You stay away. This is hot. Okay, it is starting to steam, so we are fixing to get cooking. You want it to a good boil though. You don't want it just to steam. You want a good boil. So it takes it a minute to get going good, because boiling good, because it's got so much stuff in it. And I don't put no water in it, no vinegar, nothing. As you've seen, just the vegetables, a little salt to taste, and that's it. And you could just eat it right now if you wanted to, sauce and chips. But I can it to eat it for later. So, and you can have the tomatoes as chunky or non-chunky as you want if you put them in the blender. Or not blender, excuse me, food processor. So, and you don't measure on this, you just put in there what you think you might like. Okay, we are starting to bubble. I know it takes it a minute. We got our lids in the boiling water. You'll want them in there a few minutes. Okay, here we go. And the lower the contents of food gets in this, the more you turn it down, because you don't want it to scorch. And here we go. You want to have something to hold on to that jar, because it is hot. You use the funnel, because it gets messy. It can get messy. And you only want to go up to right below the neck. Well, we're cooking now. And you take this out and go to the next one. Make sure that rim is good and clean. I hope you've seen that rim there. Okay, we're going to get the whoop, got two of them. Dip it back in the hot water because you don't want nothing on it, since it hit the stove. There we go. And that is hot. Then right away you put your ring on. This is a fast moving deal. Once it starts, you do go fast. You set that out of the way. And when you set them over there, you do not want your jars to touch. You want a little bit of space betwixt them so that they can cool down. And there we go to the next one. See how fast it's moving? You got to turn your burner down as you go. You can use a fork to gather those lids too. Just sometimes it's quicker and faster for a... And you want it good and tight. And set it aside. The kids are in there playing. If you hear all that noise, commotion in the background. You want that good and clean. If you have to, use your wet rag. That's what you want your wet rag for. If you think you might have got something on there. Oh, let me get the next one. Oop. I'm just slippery today, aren't I? There we go. Because that is good and hot. That one I got a little much in, but it'll be alright. Oh. You know, I might not have got enough jars out. I might have to grab an extra jar. That's why you want to keep your water boiling in your no, maybe not. You want to keep your water boiling on your lids in case you have to throw another jar on. And I forgot to put my towel underneath, and now I got a mess. Good and tight. See that mess I'm making there? Okay. Set that aside. We're just gonna pour it right in there. No, I guess I guessed it just right. Look there. Guessed it just right. And my lid. Oh dear. I have only had 4 lids cooking. Got there one in the hot real fast. Get it good and hot. Push it down on the bottom of this deal so it'll get good and hot. Because you want to do it pretty fast. But you want those lids just... The reason you get them hot is on the lids. I'll show you. Put that right there. Just don't let them touch. On the lids. This is a ring. This is a lid. On the lid. I hope you can see me. Yeah, on the lid there is that rubber. That rubber has to get hot. And then you put it on that jar and it cools and it seals to that jar good and tight. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you can... Don't want to burn my hair. That is how you can salsa.